Okay.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. It is 6:03 and it is the Monday, April 20th, 2020 school board meeting, 6 p.m. And I will go ahead and call the meeting to order. The first item is to say the Pledge of Allegiance. So go ahead. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the Republic
for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I'm going to take roll call for members of the school board. Jamie Fair, present.
I'm here.
Mike Christensen.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Jim Brown. Jim is here. Arlen.
Can you hear me? I'm here.
Heidi Jones.
Present.
Holly Tower.
Present.
And Chair is present. So all board members are present this evening. I sent you out a picture of the agenda, and you should also be able to have that up on your screen next to your Google Hangout. Is there any changes in the agenda or any additions that you would like to make?
Motion to approve the
No
agenda.
change. Any second?
Second.
Moved by Jim, seconded by Jamie. Any more discussion? All those in favor of the agenda will do a roll call. Mike Christensen.
What was that?
Mike, approving the agenda. We have to approve the agenda.
Trying to bring it up here.
After Jim, Arlen,
Aye.
Heidi,
Aye.
Holly,
Aye.
Janie,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and Chair votes aye. So the agenda is as is. In your agenda packet, you will see the educational plan. We always include that on every agenda to remind us of our core values and our strategic direction. Any recognitions or upcoming events that anyone would like? And remember, we're going to put our name in the chat box so that I can call on you for any comments. So does anybody have any recognitions or upcoming events? Janie?
I just wanted to recognize a couple people. I know Sheila Beckner, former principal, was on a PE videotape with Miss Stokes, and there's just a lot of fun stuff going on for our kids, whether it even be Mr. and Mrs. Will, our elementary teachers, doing the Burnside news and stuff. So I just wanted to give a little shout out to all of our teachers who are kind of going above and beyond to do little personal touches and just fun stuff for our community right now in a hard time. So.
Any other recognitions or upcoming events? Jamie, I was going to say the same thing. I was on social media earlier today and I saw a really great video from all the Sunnyside staff. It's meant to go to the students and their families, but the creativity that I'm seeing from our staff, our teachers, for different ways that they're able to connect and help everyone feel a part of our community, it just is very heartwarming. So I'd second your recognition there. Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you.
All right, so the next agenda item would be public comment. In this virtual world that we have here, I would ask that if anybody has any public comment, that they send it to me at pjroe@rwps.org at least 2 hours prior to any school board meeting. And then I'd be happy to read it and share it on your behalf. We always welcome public comment, and we definitely feel like we are partners with all of you. And so if you do have public comment, make sure to get that to me, and I will read that as we can. I have not received any public comment for today, so we will go ahead and move on to the next item, agenda item, which is school board reports. Who would like to go first? School board reports.
As for in finance, Jim sent out an email to Jackie mentioning that we should get the numbers together for what we're spending over and above what we believe the state is giving us for all the extra curricular things that we're doing outside of the Kids Junction, things of that nature. And so that went out to Jackie, and she came back with a few numbers. But Jim, do you want to take that a little bit more and expound on what you're going for here?
Thank you. Yes, Madam Chair, if I may.
Please.
Last Friday, Senator Goggin called, and we talked about the whole state of affairs and all that, what's going on in the schools. And he would like, as soon as possible, a list, best we can, of costs that we are incurring above and beyond what we normally would based upon the direction of the governor, such as and things that we're not being reimbursed for is the and him and I talked about Kids Junction, the community ed not dipping into their reserves. So I realize we don't know what path or where this is going to end, if this is going to be 2 more weeks, 2 more months, or longer. However, if we can come up with some type of numbers that we've had seen so far and what we kind of project out for a daily cost or weekly cost, whatever, we get that to him, because the rural caucus is putting together a list to make sure that we're all whole after the end of this, instead of just being put on to do it without being compensated back. We're more than happy to do it, as I stated, and he agreed that we should be, and it was his idea to make sure we're completely whole after the end of this. And so that was my request, kind of followed up the email that was sent out to the finance committee by Jackie. And so if others have part of that, could work with Jackie or Jackie can work with whoever on getting those numbers together, sooner the better. At least we'll have a start, because it certainly is moving. The target's moving, but to get something to him so he can argue on our behalf or push on our behalf would be beneficial.
Anything else, Mike?
No, that I just wanted to bring that up and let Jim go on that. It's an important issue. We don't want to be digging into our reserves for things that are beyond our control, so it's a good plan. And I thank Jim for bringing that up.
Mm-hmm.
And for talking to Goggin. So
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you. Pam, were you in on the webinar that MSBA put on for the chairs and the superintendents?
Recently?
Yes, last Thursday, I think.
No, I was not.
Okay.
No.
I just wanted to bring up a couple of things. We covered a lot of ground with that. I was also able to attend as a director. Obviously, what I had already reported on, Jim has taken action, and so did I, about holding school districts harmless and getting those numbers in front. I'd already emailed the legislators too, and I got a response from Barb Haley, and she was aware and hearing that from other districts also. And then we had some discussion about county payments and taxes and how those are going to work. And I think that's still being acted upon at the legislature at this time. A couple of pieces they mentioned were about our board meetings, that we need to, when board members are leaving the meeting, like I know I've had to virtually to get back in and get my sound reestablished and stuff. But if we're taking votes during that time, we need a backup plan. So if I can't access the meeting, is there another way that I can call in, and we have that available? Texting votes. So I guess I think that needs to be discussed a little bit. And then with our upcoming superintendent evaluation process, will we be having a closed meeting the same as we do with the summative discussion? So I wanted to clarify that because our process has changed this year. And if we are going, we usually have a closed session with the superintendent and then an open meeting. We report a summary of that meeting. If we are doing a closed meeting virtually, we have to think about that a little differently when it comes to the closed portion. And so we need to, they suggested perhaps setting up 2 different Zoom meetings. One would be the regular meeting, and one would be a separate meeting where only the board would be invited, and we're the only ones who can participate if we're going through with that. So again, another discussion I think that needs to be had. As far as a couple of pieces about the outlook, for what might happen about finance. And can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We are looking ahead as far as a legislative action. We were originally scheduled, all school districts, to receive 2% on the general education formula starting July 1. We hope that that is still intact because that decision was made last year in the biennium planning, budgeting. But should we be prepared for a reduction? So if that conversation starts happening, we need to be prepared for that. Probably as no surprise, they're anticipating that we will get 0% on the formula next year. So this coming year, we expect to get the 2%, but in the 2021 session, looking out for the next 2 years, we are thinking about the legislature could very well be thinking about a 0% for school districts. Now that will not mesh with our 5-year referendum plan. So we need to prepare for that also. And then again, I mentioned just briefly the county government property taxes. Are we getting those on time? And I think some decision came out this afternoon even, but I haven't read through it. So I don't want to report on it because I want to be accurate, and I'm not fully aware of that discussion right now. And then they wanted us to check in with our construction plans and projects to see if there's a timing issue because of the COVID circumstances. So that's probably enough to think about, but it was, there's a lot of stuff that is still ongoing that we need to focus on. So, and then the other part of my report, I checked in with Min Martin Oaks at Cavo Family Center, and their special education staff are checking in with families on a weekly basis at least once. So they're maintaining that outreach piece. And in case parents are looking for creative ideas or different ideas for their kids, their early childhood family education page on our website has a ton of resources about how to talk about coronavirus, activities, songs, and stories. You can have other people read those aloud. And they also have, under Brenda Blair's webpage, baby chicks on a video. So that's just kind of a little fun piece that they're following along the development of the chicks. So a little bit of science and fun for that. So I just wanted to say that's my responsibility as a liaison to that building, and they are doing well, and the staff is remaining positive. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Heidi. Just to follow up on one comment you made about the superintendent evaluation.
Yeah.
Kirsten, Arlen, and I have discussed how we're going to be doing that, and so we've got preparations in place, and we've looked at what the recommendation was on how to hold closed sessions. So we're right with you, Heidi, on how to close that and then have a separate meeting to be able to do that. So we'll be pulling all of that together tomorrow and making plans for going through that evaluation together when we gather in May.
It's just all weird doing it virtually.
I know, it is very weird. Not my way of wanting to hold business, that's for sure.
Thank you.
In terms of thinking about finances and planning for a reduction, perhaps that needs to be a workshop discussion. Maybe that needs to be moved up on our agenda for May. That should be a full board discussion. I know you've already started talking about that, perhaps in Finance Committee, but again, Arlen and Karsten and I can re-look at our agendas for the workshops, and that probably should be moved up sooner rather than later, and we'll get Jackie there and others to make a good.
I'm sure we'll be talking about it at Finance next week.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. Janie.
I really don't have anything new to add. Personnel met earlier in the month and I had already reported on that, but I guess I just want to share that negotiations, I believe we were supposed to start Thursday with cooks, I believe, Kirsten, it was. I hope that's correct. I forget if it was cooks or custodians, but one of them in the morning. And so we're continuing on that. And then I guess just to maybe add to that conversation about the finance goals, which I know we're a little ahead of ourselves, but we should plan for, but that'll be important as we look at that big HR plan, kind of, restructuring as we go ahead, because we were already, pretty high. So I just would encourage admin and Karsten and all to kind of obviously take some more looks on priorities and stuff for that, especially even before our workshop. So.
And to remind everyone, we have a workshop a week from today where we will be discussing that human resources plan. We have a number of ideas in the hopper in terms of what we want to see moving forward. And so it's quick work this week in terms of getting that ready for next Monday, but this is something that we've been working on for a while. So other school board reports, does operations have anything that they would like to add? No? Anything else? Okay. Administrative reports is the next on the agenda. Karsten? Have we lost him?
Karsten?
Anyone? Bueller? Okay. Well, we see no Karsten. Well, is he here? I just saw something happen on my screen. Karsten, there you are. All right, we'll wait for him. There you are, Karsten. You're up with administrative reports.
Fascinating.
Karsten, your microphone is muted.
Thank you. So I've been kicked out a couple of times here during the meeting, so I apologize for that. Just a quick few comments, because I did hear some of Heidi's report. Every time we set up a meeting, we do get a telephone number as well as a passcode. So if people would prefer just listening to the meeting, we can certainly give that information to the person. In a lot of ways, that's better because it doesn't use the same bandwidth, and so you don't get kicked out as often from internet problems. Pam did cover, what we're planning to do for the closed session for my eval, but that would be true for any closed session that we may be holding. And as far as construction issues, right now we're good to go. In fact, the city would really like us to give the go-ahead as far as doing some road work near the high school sooner than what was planned. But we've told them to wait until we know for sure what the governor is going to decide. So we're monitoring that. And then before I talk about coronavirus, I'll just say that we have been looking at the HR plan. We scaled back some of our thinking, and we still have more scaling back to do based on a conversation that administrators and I had this morning. Jackie did propose some potential reductions as well, so we're hoping to have quite a bit of information for Monday night's workshop session. In terms of coronavirus, we are really in a wait and see mode because we need to know what the governor is planning to do for the rest of the school year for sure. We have our guesses, but we need to see the written declaration. So we're waiting on that. There's also some other information that the Department of Education will be providing us as far as what we should do for grading purposes. I know Janie had a question about that, and we still need to get some more guidance from the state before we say what we're going to do for sure. We've done a lot of talking about it. We have some options, but we don't want to release anything until we hear from the state, because we don't want to, announce something, then all of a sudden have to change our mind literally within 2 or 3 days later. So we are looking at that. We did receive about, I think, 180 hotspots. And so we've been delivering those at the end of last week, and I think some today as well. So we've made good progress there. And I don't know if you have any questions about what we're doing with coronavirus or any other school-related questions, but I'll take them now if you want.
Karsten, I have a question. With the hotspots, that's assuming then that there are some kids, and I do know that this is the case, that this is true, that there are some students who, because they didn't have a hotspot or access to the internet, they haven't been able to get onto the internet and the distance learning plan. So what are we doing as a district to help those kids catch up and change their grades and make sure that, if they haven't been able to log in for, what was it, 15 days? Was that the amount of time that, yeah. So what are we doing to help those kids catch up that just got a hotspot?
Yeah, certainly no one will, because they don't have a hotspot. And so their grades will not be impacted by that. The 15-day rule from the state, as far as, for reporting truancy and that kind of thing, is not going to be upheld by Minnesota school districts, because we understand the unique circumstances of the situation. So it really comes down to what can those students do to, or what can we do with those students so that they don't fall, further behind. And that's really going to be on a case-by-case basis. I know, students will be able to access much of their learning material that's already taken place, and teachers are available to, provide additional help for those kids as well. So, I'm feeling pretty good as far as how we can respond to kids who didn't have hotspots.
Pam, if I could just, okay, if I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Kirsten, just on the grading, I just was wondering if that's a local, it sounds like that is every local district decision then. That's a complete district by district decision. I mean, the state isn't taking any kind of congregate group stance on that. Each district will make their own.
Yeah, we were told that the state would provide some guidance sometime this week, and so we need to see the guidance before we actually say what the plan is. And so the administrators and I are going to be talking collectively about that as soon as we get the guidance from the state, and then we'll be able to announce things relatively quick.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Heidi
typically
has-
grading decisions are locally determined, so I'm sure there'll be flexibility for us, but we want to see what the guidance says first.
Thank you. Heidi?
Well, again, this is a follow-up question. So what happened with the kids who were signed up to do internships or work experiences? We had to readjust because they'd already started them. What did we fill in? I guess just generally speaking, what happened with that kind of planning that we had done for work experience and kids?
I'm checking the people on the call to see if Mick happens to be on here. Or Jess.
Karsten, Jess is on her way to the meeting. She's not here right now.
Okay, my belief is that Mick is working with those kids who had signed up for internships and providing some sort of learning experiences. Just joined the meeting. We'll see if Jess happens to know what Mick might be doing for those kids who had signed up for internships, but obviously we're not able to complete them. You happen to know, Jess?
I'm sorry, I have two girls behind me. I didn't think that I was going to be talking, so sorry if we have some interruption. Mick is meeting still with all of the kids, and they are setting up basically virtual internships and interviews with kids, and trying to still pair them with employees or employers. So he's working his butt off to try to get all the kids still connected.
Okay.
Thanks, Jess.
Any other questions?
Yep, Jim had something?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Carson, what are we doing for kids that don't sign in for 5, 10, 12, 14 days before the 15th day? What steps are we taking to reach out to those students?
Yeah, we have teachers who are making the effort first. They're the best source of contact with students and their parents. If we haven't had contact from them or with them, then each building is handling it differently, but typically it's an administrator or a counselor or a social worker who's reaching out to them to see what's going on. For example, we have 4 kids now at the high school who have not connected for 15 days. And so in their attempts to reach out to the kids, we found out that 2 of them have moved, and we're still trying to figure out what the deal is with the other 2. I've had Jane Wassing from Burnside School has gone door to door, to try to make connections with kids. I know she was doing that last week to see what's going on. So she's had some success there, but we're making a lot of contacts from teachers, administrative and support staff, and sometimes even those home visits to find out what's going on.
Okay, thanks.
Does anybody else have any questions for the superintendent? Okay, thank you for that administrative report. The next item on our agenda is a consent agenda. Does anybody have anything they'd like to remove from the consent agenda? No, seeing nothing. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion. Heidi Jones.
Heidi made the motion. Do I have a
Mike will second.
Who is that?
Mike will
Mike.
second.
Okay. Made by Heidi, seconded by Mike. Any other discussion on the consent agenda? Then we'll do a roll call to accept the consent agenda as presented. We'll start with Jim. I saw his lips move. He said aye. Arlen?
Arlen got kicked out, I think.
Jim says
Arlen?
aye.
We're voting on the consent agenda. Okay, we'll come back to Arlen. Heidi?
Aye.
Holly? Holly? Janie?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Arlen?
Arlen says aye if you can hear me. I keep
Yeah,
getting booted out.
I gotcha. Thank you. So that's 7-0 to approve the consent agenda. As it. All right. Anything else on the consent agenda? All right, the next item on our agenda is the resolution accepting donations and grants. Karsten, do you want to present that?
Yeah, I'm trying to load it on my computer. I'm afraid to keep going. So if you have the list there, if someone has the list.
I do,
you
actually.
could just go over quickly.
Yes.
Sorry
I
about
do.
this.
No problem. We accepted a lovely donation from Red Wing Shoe Company for $6,000. It's $2,000 a year for 3 years. What is LHRW?
Live Healthy Red Wing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. United Way gave $2,000 for the Nature Play Project, and then we also received a donation of service in making masks for school district employees at Kid Junction, food service, and buildings and grounds. There's a great amount of people listed here: Linda Thieber, Jane Ward, Linda Kern, Becky Norton, Mary Ellen Halverson, Lori Davis-Sonic, Heidi Jones, Barb Hansen, and Terry Cosmos. So thank you very much for those donations. We very much appreciate all of those donations. So I am looking for a motion to accept the resolution accepting donations and grants.
So moved by Mike.
Moved by Mike.
Second.
Second by Holly. Okay, and then we'll take a roll call vote for this. We'll start with Arlen.
Aye.
Heidi.
Aye.
Holly.
Aye.
Janie. I saw her lips move. Mike.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. So that
That was
resolution.
an aye, just so you know.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, future topics. We have future topics and upcoming meetings. We have the workshop next Monday. We'll hold that right here virtually at 6 p.m. And we'll be discussing the HR plan. And then on May 4th, we have a personnel meeting at 3:45, an operations meeting at 4:45, and a school board meeting at 6 p.m. At this point, we do not have an indication from our governor if we can meet in person yet. So stay tuned for that. We'll let you know. Currently, it's listed in our board packet as meeting at City Hall. So just know that that could change. Any other future topics or upcoming events? All right. And then the next thing on our list is adjournment. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second by
Moved by Jeannie, seconded by Mike.
Third.
Any discussion? All right, we have to take a roll call vote for this. Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Holly Tower?
Aye.
Janie Fair?
Aye.
Mike Christensen?
aye.
Jim Bryant?
Aye.
Arlen Derrick?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We are officially adjourned at 6:37. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you next
Good
week.
night.
Have a good night.
night.
Bye now.